So you talked about agility. I bring up the term resiliency. Those are buzzwords, I think, in the future of work. How does the never normal mindset enmesh itself into the future of work, Greg?
So, the never normal mindset is, as I said earlier, fundamentally about change readiness. And, certainly that's very much aligned with the idea of resilience and the idea of agility. And I believe the third, kind of leg on that stool is adaptability. These are not the same things, obviously. When I think about resilience, right? There's a couple of ways to think of it, right? Part of it is the ability to sort of bend and not break, and the ability to kind of get knocked down and stand back up, and then the other, it's also like, one of the challenges I think in some ways with not agility, I'm sorry, resilience. Did I say agility or resilience? The idea of resilience, like you think about a rubber ball, right? You squeeze a rubber ball, it comes back a rubber ball, right? But organizations also need to be thinking about, like, should I even be a rubber ball, right? A lot of, for me, like the never normal mindset is really all about this idea of acknowledging that there is no advantage in defending the status quo or recreating the past, and that an organization needs to be open to change, embrace change, find strategic advantage in change, not look at disruption as destruction, but as an opportunity for creation. By kind of acknowledging this idea that any change we go through will not be the last change we go through, and not
Right.
settling for a minimally viable transformation, right? As many organizations, frankly, already seem to be doing. People are pining for, can we go back to the office? Or kind of saying, hey, we're all on Zoom now, check the box, we're now a digital organization, and thinking they've done it, right? Zoom calls are not digital transformation. Work from home is not the future of work in and of itself. It may be, distributed workforce, yes. Location fluidity, yes. Sort of permeable boundaries of an organization, right, between gig and full-time and freelance and consultant, yes. All of these things are components, but we need to be thinking about what is the next intentional change our organization can make to become a stronger organization and potentially even ultimately become a very different kind of organization than we are today. And
I
that's really
think
the never normal mindset.
yeah, I think that's brilliant. I interviewed George Brett, who is the uh, de facto inventor of onboarding, the process that helps new talent
Sure.
integrate properly into an organization. And it's great. And I used it a lot in my recruiting career. Um, and one thing that we talked about when I interviewed him back in the spring is that, pre-pandemic, 9% of us worked from home. During the pandemic, it's like, I don't know, 40, 50, 60, who knows? But, once this thing ends, it's not going back down to 9. It may go to 20, 25.
Yeah.
So that's a huge shift in never normal, is
Yeah.
that I may work in my home. By the way, room rater called. That is an A+ background, my brother.
And it's real.
It's real. Yeah. It's not the Brady Bunch kitchen like I use on my fun calls. Anyway, sorry to digress, but the idea of work will not be confined to a place and may not be confined to a 40-hour work week. It'll happen when it needs to happen, when inspiration hits. And that, I got to imagine, is terrifying for a lot of people, but it's also very liberating.
Right. It's both of those things. And, I mean, to me, it requires people to embrace ambiguity. And when I say people, it's workers, right, as well as leaders, right? Embrace ambiguity in an entirely new way, and to kind of embrace, the power of and, right? There is no clear black and white between, everything's gray. Like we will, to kind of build on, maybe we go from 9% to 20%. We're at 50 or 60% now in terms of work from home or remote work. we're seeing some organizations say we're never going back, Twitter. Other organizations saying we're not quite sure, but certainly not before mid-2021. You're seeing other organizations like Siemens saying, we'll never require you to be here 5 days a week, but we will want you here 2 or 3 days a week. The other 2 days you can be remote. So it's this kind of, am I in office? Am I out of office? Does it make a difference, right? Am I remote? Am I local? Am I, in the office? Am I full-time employed, or am I, a freelance? Like, all these things will be ands, right? And that requires I think a very different way, of thinking about work, where it's not the place you go, it's the thing you do, right? You say go to work, right? And that's almost like it's clearly become that phrase is like a relic of the industrial age, right? You don't go to work, you take your work with you wherever you go.